So I found this Saab 9.3 on Facebook Marketplace last weekend. And the reason why it caught my attention is because it was fairly cheap, of course, and it has the very rare sunroof. It also has heated seats, and it's white, and I've never had a white Saab before, and to be honest, it looks kind of sporty. But it's not without its problems. It does have an issue with its gear knob. The spring, which you normally have to pull up to be able to put it into reverse, is broken, which means that it just moves into reverse whenever you push the gear stick too far, and that makes getting into first a little bit tedious, but that's something that I will fix in a future video. The paintwork has a bit of lack appeal, but other than that, it drives fine. But this is the reason why I never have any money, because I just keep buying cars. But as I mentioned before in this video, what I'm going to be doing is bringing the technology of this car up to date. And that involves me replacing the head unit of the car with a Xtrons touchscreen head unit, and then I'm going to be installing a reverse camera, the tyre pressure monitoring system, the DAB radio, and obviously the Dashcam DVR system as well. So let's get on with it. So this all starts with the removal of the original factory radio, which is a bit of a pain, mostly because of the requirement to remove these vents. Now, I have shown you before how to do this. What you need is a plastic removal tool. You can also use a credit card or anything plastic. That's what we're going to be sort of sticking in the side here between the vent and the dashboard. Don't use anything metal. If you use something metal, you're probably going to take off the coating of the plastic and ruin the dashboard of your car. Okay, so the best and easiest way is to use something plastic. You will need a small flathead screwdriver as well, and the reason for that is because there are 3 latches along the bottom of the vents, and what we need to do is stick the screwdriver in the hole and lift. Just pop the plastic tool in and just pull it away. And move along to the next one and just pop your screwdriver in. Get your finger behind it now, just hold it there. And then do the same with the third one. And there we go. It's a bit fiddly, but it's easy when you know how. And if you have a look on the underneath here, you can see where we've been putting these screwdrivers in. So when you put your screwdriver in, you're basically pushing these tabs down, and that's what allows the vents to be pulled out. Now, the radio itself is held on by 2 screws, one here and one here. So you're going to need a Torx bit for this. And then just grab hold of the radio at the top here and just lift and pull, and you'll be able to pull it out. Now, if we have a look at the connectors that we have on the back, we have 3 connectors. 2 of these black ones which have these tabs at the top, so just pinch and pull. And finally, you'll see that we have a factory connector here which has a little tab on this side, so we're just going to lift that up and pull it over like so. So what we have is the 2 main connectors for the Saab, and you also have the FACRA for the radio antenna. So before we get started on the reverse camera, let's talk a bit about how they work. So the camera has 2 connections on it. It has power and it has video. We can have it only powered when you are reversing, because it'll be powered by the reverse light, and that just means that we run the feed directly from the bulb to the camera, and it'll only switch on with the camera. This has a secondary benefit because it will enable the head unit to know when you're reversing, because what happens is you put the car into reverse, the reverse light comes on, the power goes to the camera, so the camera switches on, the head unit detects that the camera is now on, and it will display the image on the screen. So I'm going to show you how to connect it up now. Right, let's open the boot. So to be able to put the camera here, we need to remove this trim. And to do that, we need to remove the inside lining of the boot. There's actually only 2 screws which are holding this on, so you need a Torx 30 bit to take these out. Now the next point of call is to remove these plastic fasteners, and you simply do that by pushing in the center of them, and that will enable them to just be pulled out. And do that for every single one of them all the way around. There you go, and we just pop this in the boot. Now that we can see the bare bones of the inside of the boot lid, you will see that there is 4 bolts which actually hold on that plastic piece on the outside. So you need a 10mm socket to take them out. And one thing that I will say, be very careful that you don't drop the nuts, because if they go in here, they're an absolute ball ache to try to get out again. There's 2 clips on both of the number plate lights that just need to be pushed to one side, and then this plastic piece will now just come loose and pop off. And there's 1 wire, which is this one here, that you can just pull out to remove it. And there we go. Right, and there we go. So the camera is now attached to this plastic bar. The wire is going to disappear inside this little notch here, and it's going to drop inside the car. So that's what we're going to do now. You can see that there's a hole here, and that's where this wire is going to go in. So we'll put the main cable in this hole, and then the secondary cable will go into here, and then we'll be able to place this back where it's meant to be, like so. And we can replace all of these 4 bolts now. And so we got our camera now fitted to the outside of the car, which is exactly what we wanted. So the outside of the car is now done. But now we have these random wires just hanging down. And now we need to sort out both the power and the video. So I've popped the car into reverse with the ignition on. And you can see that these are the reverse lights here, the bottom ones. It's going to be these wires here which we have to tap into. Just need to find out which ones are 12 volts whilst the lights are on. So as you can see, it's reading 12 volts, but only when the car's in reverse, which means that the 2 cables that I've currently found are the power for the reverse light. So this is what's going to power our reverse camera. So we grab the extension wire that came with the actual camera. We plug in the red and yellow. So we need to find a nice way to get the wire sort of underneath over to the light. So what I've done is I've used these Scotch locks because they're very, very simple to basically attach one wire to another. I mean, if you didn't have any of these, you could just strip the cables going to the reverse light and just wrap the cables around, solder them, do whatever you want. But the live wire goes to the one that's on the very, very end of the plug that goes into the reverse light, and the ground, the black wire, goes to the second wire next to it, basically. And that means that the camera is now powered. And now what we're left with is all this wire that we now need to get to the front of the car. So the first thing that we need to do is actually get the wire from the boot lid into the actual boot itself. And there's really only one way that we can do that, and that is down the hinge here. And if you have a look, there is actually already a wire loom that goes into this plastic sheath down into the main compartment down here. The easiest way to do this is just to pop off this plastic hinge protector. It's got 2 clips here and here. We can just unclip them, and you can see the thing just comes off. And at this point you can see where the wire goes down into the boot. So what we'll do is we'll just add our wire to this, and then we'll clip on the plastic part again. Now at this point there's literally no reason for us to leave the boot lid bare as it is, so we can just put it back together again. Now to put these plastic studs back on, you need to basically remove the central pin. Then you put the plastic stud in first, then push the pin in so it's exactly level with the hole. There we go, boot lid's all back together now. So now we have a wire that is just hanging down from our hinge gap here, but we obviously need it to go in the car. Now the best way to do this is from the inside, get a really thick cable and push it through a hole until it comes here. I'll show you now. So look, I've got this really thick coax cable and I've pushed the seat forward, and if you have a look, if I just move this a little bit, you can see there's a hole there, and that hole goes through the back bulkhead into the main compartment. And then what we can do is we can open this like so, and then if we have a look in here, you will be able to see the white wire. Here it is. And now I can take the end of my cable to this and then just pull it through. So I can just pull this now. Got the wire come through. Now we can just close this up and we're done in the back. Now what we're going to do is run this wire behind this bolster all the way down between the bolster and the seat, and then under the plastic trims. This just needs to go underneath this plastic to the back, to the front of the car. So now that we've got the cable at the front of the car, we now need to get it to the head unit, and that involves removing the glove box, which is nice and easy. I'll show you now. So to remove the glove box, what we need to do is first remove this side panel, so just give it a tug and it should just come off. Then remove the two screws that are underneath. You can use exactly the same bit that you used to remove the radio. There we go, now we can open it. You'll find there's one single silver screw at the back, so you need to remove that. And then finally you have two at the top here. Okay, so now we can close it and pull it out. There we go. Now remember to drop it down carefully, because there is an air conditioning pipe that is connected to this and you don't want to pull that off. There we go. So now that we've done this, you can grab your reverse camera wire and essentially you want to feed it up into behind where the glove box comes up, like so, and then feed the wire behind the plastics as you have been before. There we go. So now we've got the cable coming out where the glove box is, and there's absolutely no trace of this wire anywhere along the car all the way to the back. It's completely hidden, exactly like we want. Now we need to get it behind the radio, so just pop the radio out. And there we go, the wire is where it needs to be. Now the glove box did need to come out for a secondary reason, and that is there are USB ports for this Xtrons unit, and there will be for any Android head unit, or any unit for that matter, and the easiest place for you to put the USB ports is in the glove box, because it's literally right next to where the radio is. And as we've already got it out anyway, we might as well sort that out now. So what that does require is putting a hole into the side of the glove box from the inside, and that means that you can thread your USB ports through and into the glove box itself. A nice clean circular hole in the side of the glove box, and now we can put our USB ports through that hole. So I'm just going to drop them in the hole. Like so. But we're not going to put the glove box back just yet, because we still have to install the DVR. So this is the DVR camera from Xtrons, and to be honest, it looks pretty cool. I mean, look, it's chrome and black, and yeah, I think that's pretty damn stylish. Has an adhesive pad which we're going to use to stick to the window, and obviously the wire that we're going to hide underneath the roof lining. Xtrons says that this camera should go in the center of the windscreen, just behind the rear view mirror. So that is where I'm going to put it. There we go. Let's pop it in the center here. Make sure it's straight. There we go. Perfect. And then we can run the cable under the roof lining. And you can see it's got two connectors here. The reason for that is one will go to the Xtrons head unit and the other will go to the rear view camera. Now Xtrons does say that the rear view camera should be mounted near the number plate, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually have it inside the car looking out of the back window. So that's what we're going to do. But first we're going to run the cable to the head unit. So to take this pillar off, you'll see that there's a little tag here that says airbag, a little plastic tab. Just grab a plastic removal tool and just pop it underneath and just pop it out like so. You're going to find a 10mm bolt in here, so let's take that out as well. Now you'll be able to remove the pillar just by giving it a yank. What you want to do is feed the wire underneath the airbag, not over the top of it. Just pop it underneath the airbag like so. And once you've done that, just run the cable down the length of the rubber seal. And we're just going to leave that down there for a second because now we need to run the cable for the rear camera as well. So we're going to run this again underneath the airbag and plug it in. And then just hide the wire again underneath the roof lining. Now with the wire that's going to go to the back of the car, this one is going to stay up high and we're going to have it going to the back of the car but underneath the roof lining essentially. Pull back the rubber and thread the wire underneath the rubber all the way around. And at this point you're probably going to find that you have a lot of excess. We're going to have to hide this excess. The best place I would say to hide it would probably be behind this. Now the airbag is here, not here, so you can hide all the wire there. Right, so rear view camera we're going to put here on the actual glass itself, I think. And they've actually given you a double-sided sticky pad, which is going to be useful here. So I'll put one side of the sticky pad underneath, like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to put it in the center on the glass. That's about right. And you can see it's loose, but that's just because we need to tighten the screws on either side, so I'll do that in a minute. But we've got this wire which we need to hide now, so we're going to put it underneath this plastic third brake light is, and then we have the other cable as well, so we just plug that in like so. And now we have both the front and the rear cameras connected. So we're just going to tighten this camera so that it is facing out of the window where it should be. Okay, now we can start putting the front of the car back together. Okay, so the USB cable that we had coming down needs to be all the way at the bottom of this pillar, underneath the rubber, so that it can't be seen. So whilst I've got the pillar off, I'm just scratching off some paint here, and this is going to be where the grounding for the DAB antenna is going to go. That's what this is for. See this copper? It's going to go on there. So it's going to go just there. Once you've got it down there, you can just put the pillar back on again. Just clip it into place. Give it a bit of a whack. Now get it in place. It's to go inside behind the glove box, so just thread the wire through. Right, there we go. Right, at this point we can just put the glove box back together, so just lift it up and push it into place. Pop the side back on here. Okay, so the car is completely back together at this point, apart from the head unit, of course, because we haven't finished putting that together. So what's left? Well, TPMS. Okay, so this is the Xtrons tyre pressure monitoring system. It consists of 4 of these. So that is a tyre valve. So this actually goes on the wheel itself. This is the valve for the tyre, and this goes inside the tyre. And this is going to measure the pressure of each of the 4 tyres, because there's 4 of them. And then the USB adapter, which is what receives the signal from the 4 pressure monitors, needs to just be plugged into a USB port. Now, the only free USB port that we currently have is in the glove box. So I'm going to open the glove box, find my USB wire, and just plug this in. And it can just live in the glove box. Now, I do need to go to the garage to actually have my tyres removed to have these fitted. So we'll do that at a later stage. So we're going to plug in our FACRA connector for the radio first. Just literally slots in like that. That gives you the main radio plug that we need to use. So the next point of call is to use the Connect 2 loom, this thing here. You can see it's got the 2 plugs, which will go into the Saab's 2 plugs, and on the other side it has an ISO connection, which will go into the Xtrons ISO connection. Right, so let's just plug this in. There we go. We'll plug the other side into the Xtrons. Now the other side of the Connect 2 loom here, you're going to have key 1, key 2 and ground. And then if you have a look on the Xtrons loom, you're going to find key 1, key 2 and ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect these wires to the Connect 2 loom. That's going to give us our steering wheel controls. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our Saab 9.3 fascia. So remember that the top of this is where the 2 holes are, which screw to the top. So we're just going to drop the radio in, like so. So we're going to plug in the radio. Now for the reverse camera, you've got the yellow wire and you've got this green wire here as well. The green wire has to be connected to back on the Xtrons. And the yellow wire goes into the rear camera in, just like that. And that's the reverse camera now all ready to go. Now for the DAB, grab your Xtrons DAB stick and plug it into a free USB port, like so. And then screw on the SMA connector for the window antenna. And now your DAB is ready to go. Grab the DVR Dashcam USB plug and plug that into another empty USB, like so. That means that that's all connected up as well. Just pop these wires in the back. Then the final point of calls is going to be the GPS antenna, which we are just going to basically pop straight up on top of these vents, like so. When the GPS antenna is up there, it's right on top of the dashboard. It's going to get a great signal and it's wedged in, so it's not going to go anywhere. And just screw that onto the GPS on the Xtrons. And finally, the Wi-Fi antenna is going to be required as well, but with this you can just drop it inside the dashboard and just screw it in place. And when we've got this far, we just need to chuck all the wires inside the dashboard to the sides, otherwise we're not going to be able to push the head unit in. So there's a lot of stuff now. Just want to clear down all of the wires at the sides because the vents do need to go back in. Right, and there we go. So this should be it. So I'm going to test it now and just make sure that everything works. The ignition is on. Right, let's try the DAB first. So we'll go to DAB-Z. Okay, so we've got a good signal up here, which is great to see. Yeah, so the DAB radio is working fine, so that's one thing. Let's try high definition recorder. Okay, so that's the camera looking out the front, and I believe if I press this button here, there we go, it's looking out the back as well. So the tyre pressure monitoring system, this thing here, I can't get it to work. Okay, so I'm emailing Xtrons at the moment, trying to work out what it is. I did a little bit of research online. It seems that the issue might be related to the permissions that Android is giving the TPMS system. But if you have a look, it shows you that it has no connection to any of the 4 sensors. Now, obviously they're not on my wheels yet, but the device should connect to these, and it's not. I will do a follow-up video on the TPMS for the Xtrons unit on another video. But everything else is working. So steering controls are working, the audio is working, the DAB is working, the dash cams are working, everything is working. So now I'm just going to finish putting it back together again. So 2 screws on the top, and then we'll pop the vents back in place. Very nice. Now at the moment you can still see the cage that the Xtron is sitting in just between the outer bezel and the actual unit itself, and that's because we still haven't put on the last piece, which is this inner bezel which came with the Saab 9.3 kit. Now this is not going to sit on properly because the Xtrons just protrude slightly outside of the cage further than this was expecting. So what I've done is I've popped some double-sided tape on it so that when I put it in place it will actually stay there. So I'm just going to pop that in place. And there we go, the installation is complete, and it does look amazing in this car. Now I'm going to do a review of this head unit right now, but it's going to be on a separate video, so just keep an eye on my channel for that. And if you have any questions about anything that I did, please ask in the comments section below. Please give my video a cheeky like if you like this content, and of course please subscribe to my channel because I have lots more interesting stuff to come.